хорошо, да. У меня просто несколько делали.
Hey everybody, it's me Jake, and I'd like to fill you in on what's going to be happening here on the Signals Music channel over the next few months. The exciting news is that I am working on a giant rhythm guitar course. It's going to go over everything you could possibly want to know about keeping good time and playing good rhythm guitar. Because I personally think that one of the biggest differences between the amateur musician and the professional is mastering rhythm. If you have mastered rhythm, then everything is easier. Playing live is easier. Writing interesting music is easier. Playing in the studio is easier. It's a key component to going from schmo to pro, is really mastering that rhythm grid. But it can be a complex topic, and a lot of teachers kind of avoid teaching it because it can be kind of a frustrating topic as well. Now, some of you know that in December I finished my songwriting and music theory course. I'm selling that for $270 on my website, but I gave it away to all of my Patreon subscribers for a name your own price scenario. And what I'm really excited to share with you is that this entire rhythm course that I'm working on is going to be available to all of you at a name your own price system. So whatever you're comfortable paying for this course is what you're going to pay for this course. If all you can handle is $0, that's fine with me. If you can handle $1 million, well, that's fine with me too. I don't know if the website's going to accept it, but that's how it's going to be for this entire course. Now, this is a big deal. I'm going to be spending hundreds of hours on this course and really putting my heart and soul into making the best product I possibly can make for you all. So how can I give it away for free? Well, the answer is I have something called Patreon subscribers. This is just a bunch of people, a bunch of very generous people that have gone to my Patreon and clicked a button to donate either $1 a month or $5 a month and sometimes $50 or $100 a month because they believe in what I'm doing here. And because of them, I don't have the same pressures that the average YouTuber has. It's well known in the YouTube community that the YouTube algorithm really punishes creators who aren't posting constantly, who aren't posting frequently on a schedule. So this convinces a lot of YouTubers to constantly post content, whether they like it or not, whether it's good content or not, whether they're motivated to make that content or not. And I find that to be a pretty frustrating system to work within. The revenue that I receive from Patreon means that I get to work on the projects that I actually believe are important. And right now, what I believe is actually important to work on is a free rhythm guitar course for everybody. And there is no way I would possibly be able to spend hundreds of hours on something like this and give it away if it wasn't for their support. So I really want to stress my appreciation for my Patreon subscribers, and if you do decide to pick up this course at a discount price, you should probably show them some appreciation as well. So how long is this going to take? Well, I do suspect that I'll have the course done by mid-August, which means I think it'll be accessible and available on my website by late August. But until then, it's probably going to be pretty quiet here on the Signals Music channel. I may post a few videos from my actual theory course here on the Signals channel, but if you're looking for more content from me, there's really going to be only two options for the next few months. Option number one is to sign up to my Patreon. You see, every single week until this course is done, I'm going to be doing live streams for just my Patreon supporters. I do these quite a bit where people submit questions ahead of time and then I'll answer them live and I can prepare different musical examples and we'll even do live composing as part of that answering. It's a lot of fun and I enjoy doing those. So those are going to be on every single week until my course is out. In addition to that, I'm going to be doing weekly composition streams for just my Patreon supporters. So this is starting up a song, writing a song, and really walking through every step of it from the production to the music theory to the mixing. And that way, you can kind of follow along my thought process as I start with something as it evolves. I find that to be very helpful. Even as somebody who's written a lot, I really enjoy watching other people compose and listening to them explain their composition process. Because there's not one way to do this. There's a million ways to write music. So every time I listen to somebody else explain their process, I pick up on a different trick, some other technique, something else that I personally wouldn't have thought of. Now, if you don't want to sign up to my Patreon, I would recommend you subscribe to my other YouTube channel, which is called Jake Lizio. What I'm going to be doing there is editing some of my previous Patreon content down and loading it on there. You see, for my Patreon subscribers, over the last 3 years, I posted a lot of content. I've made courses on writing melodies, I've done stuff on guitar solos, on rhythm and strumming, all sorts of different content, and lots of those live stream Q&As. I think it would be fun to maybe just take some highlights out of that and post it on the Jake Lizio channel so everybody else could see it. So you should expect some content showing up there, but other than my Patreon and that channel, you'll probably not see too much on the Signals Music channel until my course is done. But it's not just my Patreon supporters that deserve some recognition here. It is also you, my YouTube subscribers. I am immensely grateful for you watching my videos, for you sharing my videos, for you commenting. I'm convinced that I have the best comment section on the entire website here. So really, thank you. It means a lot to get those comments and to know that these lessons are actually effective, that people are actually learning from them. That's why I keep doing it. And that in combination with the financial support from my Patreon subscribers means I can continue doing what I think I should be doing best. I think I should be teaching. I think that's my main job. And teaching is not always conducive to just making a video every week. Sometimes, you know, if you want to teach something correctly, you're going to have to do it a little bit better than that. And I think producing a full course with worksheets and you know, PDFs and videos and drills and exercise that you can play along with, I think that's really important. And I think that's what I'm supposed to be doing. It feels like the right thing to do. Giving it away feels like the right thing to do. I'm excited to do that. And I can only do that because of everybody's support. So thank you, everybody. I will see you soon. And thank you for watching.
GuitarTricks.com is the easy, fast, and fun way to learn guitar that's worked for millions. Grab your guitar and simply follow along with friendly instructors who show you everything up close so you know exactly what to do. Forget boring theory and repetitive exercises. Beginners start by learning simple songs right from the start to keep things fun. With over 11,000 lessons, GuitarTricks.com has lessons for the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Ed Sheeran, Johnny Cash, and nearly every popular artist you can think of. Get a 14-day free trial at GuitarTricks.com/YouTube, and we'll send you a fun bonus gift just for trying it out.
Welcome to another session of Signals Music Studio. You are now ready to learn.
I am now ready to learn.
You will remember all you are taught.
I will remember all I am taught.
You have a deep desire to smash that like button. Now when I count to 3, you will become fully alert and ready to begin the lesson. 1, 2, 3.
I'm Jake Lizio, and in this video we're going to explore the world of musical drones and pedal tones. Now this is a very simple concept, but it can have some very advanced applications. So we're going to start pretty simple, and then we'll introduce some gradually more complex topics. To begin, a drone is simply a sustained note. And when we talk about drone music, we mean that that note is being sustained through the entire song, not just for a few measures or something. Now there's entire genres of music that rely heavily on the drone concept. Specifically Carnatic and Hindustani music from India. The tampura is tuned to a root and a fifth, and as it plays, it creates this wonderfully warm drone sound. Similarly, the sitar has drone strings as well. And on top of these steady droning notes, Indian performers have a wide variety of scales that they can use to compose or improvise with over. We'll actually experiment with some of that stuff at the end of this video. But these styles of music are very old, and they didn't find their way to the Western world until about the 1960s. That's when the Beatles took a lot of trips, and some of those trips were to India. And when they were in India, they were heavily influenced by Indian music and culture. The first mainstream Western drone song I can point you to is the Beatles' Tomorrow Never Knows, which starts off with a sitar drone and relies heavily on just one note, C, on the bass guitar through the entire song. Now on the Sgt. Pepper's album, George Harrison wrote Within You Without You, which obviously employs the Indian drone technique, but also utilizes many more elements of Indian music. However, my favorite third example of the Beatles employing this technique is in Blue Jay Way. That song starts off with just a single C note droning on the organ and ends with that same C note droning all the way through. But when most people listen to that song, I don't think they're picking up Indian or Carnatic vibes. So I do think it's a great example of employing these techniques without having it sound too different from what we would define as Western mainstream music. Now, even though the Beatles experimented with this concept pretty heavily, it didn't really catch on in the Western world. I was hard-pressed to find you many examples of something that would actually classify as drone music that made it to the mainstream. One example I'll give you is the song Pepper by Butthole Surfers. That song really has no chords, it just has one underlying note. And the verse sections don't have any note. So it's a drone for most of the song, and then for the other parts of the song there's just nothing going on. It's just drums and vocals that don't have a real melody to it. But it does create that drone vibe that you may have recognized from that Indian Carnatic style. But I do think there's hope on the horizon for drone music, especially with the resurgence of doom metal and drone metal. A lot of these styles rely on just one tone running through the entire thing. The band I'll point you to is Sun. Specifically, their song Frost is a great example of how evil and dark and powerful something like just a simple drone can be for your compositions. Now, what's really important in all of these examples is how it makes us feel. There's something very specific and unique to the drone sound that affects us in a very unique way. For me personally, it taps into a stranger, more abstract, trance-like meditative state. And I think that's why you hear these things a lot in meditation music and calming ambient songs. It really has a profound effect on just your biophysiology when you hear a static note as opposed to a bunch of changing notes. So I do think as a composer, it's kind of important to keep that in mind. If you're trying to write something that's supposed to elicit some otherworldly or religious or holy vibe, something that's, contacting the spirit world or tapping deep within, I feel like drones are where you want to go for something like that, because it's immediately kind of put your brain into that space. But droning doesn't have to sound whacked out and really psychedelic. Actually, there's a lot of examples of it on the acoustic guitar that just sound nice and modern and shimmery and kind of bright and happy. You see, when guitarists play an E major, the E major chord has a natural E string ringing out and a natural B string.
Вот это и есть он самый, да, он не себе одному играет. Нормально, играй! Немножко расковыряешь. Да. Серый, да, наоборот. Не знаю, я само понимаю. Просто так. играл сегодня. Какой еще души? Зачем он играл? Я сегодня что-то вообще такую слабину дал, вообще просто пипец. Ну ладно, смотри, из положительных эффектов, да. Я поглючил над этими штуками, короче, решил, что я буду распечатывать, если не все, то много чего, да, короче, все равно придется, то есть, ладно, что, зачем время-то тянуть? В конце концов, будет лежать, каша не просит, дольше будешь мозг себе, как говорится, чем это самое. Если у тебя план быть, как бы, да, типа того, я просто тебе говорю так, да, понял. То есть, ну да. Это тоже, да, ну, сегодня так, да, понимаешь, как бы ситуация. У меня такая ситуация, когда вообще дно полное. Ну, у кого-то может быть, вот если ты такой вот сирота вообще казанский, да, то есть, ну, не с этого, наверное, означает, что ты сирота, что у тебя нет, но тем не менее, смотри, у тебя все закончилось, ты инвалид вообще, руки, ноги сломаны, представь себе, да, что будет тогда? Только милосердием там, да, может, какой там уж, да, у родных на шее будешь висеть, только всего лишь. Ну, не прав, что ли я, ну, у государства еще, да, то есть, ну, и, ну, да, ну, или у родных, в первую очередь, нет, у государства. И сам работать еще пойдет, да, наоборот. Ну, да, ну, вот это его дают, вот чтобы таких вещей не допускать, инсульты, инфаркты, всякие вот эти штуки, да, они никому не нужны, правильно? Вот, это у мужиков часто бывает, насколько я понимаю, да. Короче, да, ты понял уже просто. Да. Ищи какие-то свои вот моменты, да, то есть нельзя, да, тренировать надо, понимаешь, это мавитон. По идее, мавитон даже бешенство вот начинает беситься. Ну, когда это актерство, то это, то есть для чего-то, тогда это как бы более-менее как-то что ли. Есть какой-то смысл, какой-то цель, да. Но когда это так вот и вот там вообще просто, это недалекость какая-то, понимаешь, это, следовательно говоря, это не мужские качества, да, то есть не умность какая-то, как минимум, интеллект, да, не мудрость, да, и так далее, да. Доброта, поэтому они такие. Но нам приходится, мы постоянно как бы на грызе, да. Ну и что теперь? Ну она как бы переходит на уровень, когда решает задачи. Ну понимаешь, короче. То есть открытая агрессия это не тот вариант, который как бы да. Целый понял, да. Ладно, понимаешь. Да. Апатия тоже, конечно. Вот я к чему говорю, да. Подручил, короче. Ну, да. Я просто смотрю, все полетел, весь день вообще полетел. Можно готовить, что так должно быть конфигура быть. Так и задумалась, что ладно. Ну ладно, не совсем так. Не, я так, ну ладно, все так было. Ну да, не, я сам не ожидал, что так. То есть не вкладываться, да, как-то так делать. такой